Question number 12, Chris Hipkins.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Education. Why is she proposing to close Salisbury Residential School in Nelson and McKenzie Residential School in Christchurch?
The Honourable Hekia Parata.
Mr Speaker, my focus is on developing the new intensive wraparound service, contributing to success for all, every school, every child, this government's vision for a fully inclusive education system. As a result of consultation and in light of all the considerations, the best option is to retain a mix of both residential places and extended use of the wraparound service. I have written to McKenzie Residential School in Christchurch and Salisbury Residential School in Nelson, advising them of my preliminary decision to close them and giving them 28 days to make submissions. If I do decide after this further consultation to close the schools, the statutory process to close them will then begin. The two residential schools proposed to be retained will be located in Christchurch and Auckland, and they will be national schools.
Chris Hipkins.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. What evidence-based is she relying on that the wraparound service she is proposing will work better for these vulnerable students than the current model of care and support they receive?
The Honourable Hekia Parata.
Mr Speaker, it is not as the member has framed it, an either or, it is an and. We are proposing to provide both. We're proposing to provide both residential placements and an intensive wraparound system. The Ministry of Education developed this in 2010. The service was extended during the temporary closure of Hallswell Residential College following the Christchurch earthquakes, and it provides supports for learners with the same needs as those enrolled in residential special schools. Professor David Mitchell provided a report, Joined Up, a comprehensive ecological model for working with children with complex needs and their families, whānau, and that showed that an intensive package of support for students with complex needs in their local schools and home communities resulted in better outcomes for students.
Tracy Martin.
Can the Minister confirm that the suggested reduction in the state's financial investment in these specific students' educational needs from $84,200 per year to approximately $29,000 per year for the wraparound service, or to the level of approximately $7,700 per year for average mainstream students, has not been based on advice from Treasury?
The Honourable Hekia Parata.
No, I can confirm it's not based on that, and yes, I can confirm that it doesn't include Treasury's advice.
Chris Hipkins.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Will the wraparound service for students with special needs in local schools provide any form of assistance and support to students in their homes outside of school hours? If so, what will the nature of that support be?
The Honourable Hekia Parata.
Mr Speaker, the intensive wraparound service is personalised to each learner. Whatever is required to assist them will be defined in association with a psychologist, the learner and the family, or any other specialist that might need to be involved in order to have a personalised plan for each learner.
Point of order, Chris Hipkins.
Mr Speaker, my question was actually relatively specific. It was about the level of support they'll be provided in their home environment, and the Minister hasn't addressed that part of the question. Well, she hasn't addressed the substance of the question.
Indeed, the member did ask exactly that question. I'm assuming from the Minister's answer where she said that the support was individualised and would meet its students' individual needs, that if they needed support beyond school, that would be provided. But if I'm wrong there, the Minister better correct that impression, so to appear. Point of order, Chris Hipkins.
Mr Speaker, that's a very helpful interpretation from you, but that's not actually the answer that the Minister gave to a very specific question.
She's indicated what she meant.
No, point of order, Mr Speaker.
Point of order, Chris Hipkins.
Mr Speaker, I think it's not unreasonable. You've indicated where the opposition ask very specific questions that you'll require ministers to give specific answers or answers that address that question. It's not unreasonable for us to expect the Minister will deliver.
In order to save time, I'm sure the Minister's happy to clarify the matter. The Honourable Hekia Parata.
Mr Speaker, I'll repeat my answer. The answer is that the intensive wraparound service is personalised to the particular learner in their home environment. Yes.
Chris Hipkins.
Supplementary question, Mr Speaker. Mr. Speaker, which parts of the feedback from parents, teachers and students on residential special schools convinced her it would be a good idea to close 2 of them? Was it the 93% of respondents who asked that their schools remain open, or the universally positive feedback from former students about their experience at the schools?
The Honourable Hekia Parata.
Mr. Speaker, I did read through the over 300 submissions that were received from parents, from families, from the schools themselves, 224 of which were survey monkeys. So I read through those and I was persuaded that there should be retained residential placements as part of the continuum of provision for special education needs, and that all of the money committed to special education would allow us to add a further 110 learners to get a service that they don't currently get.
The Honourable Marion Street.
Supplementary, Mr. Speaker. To the Minister, has she considered the risks attaching to moving students from the all-girls facility at Salisbury School in Nelson to a co-ed facility in Christchurch? And if so, what assurances has she been given that these most vulnerable girls will be safe?
The Honourable Hekia Parata.
Mr. Speaker, yes. Consideration has been given to that in terms of this preliminary decision. Hallswell already does have separate villas, electronic monitoring, those provisions that are well regarded in all the submissions that members have been talking about the quality of provision will be maintained in both residential schools.
The House now comes to questions to members, and question 1 stands in the name of Minor Mac.